Yep,
Since you got
it
control.
is recording on the cloud.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is the Dundee Township Trustees regular meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. on Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. The meeting time is 7:03. I am going to have Mr. Black pull the roll call, please.
Okay, physically present Supervisor Glees
Aye.
and myself. Remotely, Trustee Schaffer,
Here.
Trustee Johnson,
Here.
Trustee Aherns,
Here.
Trustee Harney.
Here.
I will now read the electronic notice. This meeting of the Dundee Township Board of Trustees will be held via video audio conference call in accordance with the Illinois Governor's executive orders and disaster declarations regarding COVID-19's pandemic. The general public had the opportunity to receive access to this meeting by making a request to the Township Clerk, Deputy Clerk, Supervisor, or reviewing the information on the website. Senate Bill 2135, signed into law by Governor Pritzker, addresses electronic meetings during time periods when the governor of the state of Illinois has issued a disaster declaration. Pursuant to this law, the Dundee Township Board of Trustees meeting will be conducted via audio and video conference without a physically present quorum. Pursuant to this new law, Dundee Township Supervisor Patricia Trish Glees has determined that an in-person meeting at the Township building with all the participants is not practical, nor is it prudent because of the disaster declaration related to COVID-19 and the public health concerns affecting the Township. Township officials, legal counsel, and appointed board members are not physically present. The meeting is being video recorded and will be made available to the public via the Dundee Township website as provided by law, and all votes will be done by roll call. Thank you very much. I'm going to lead everyone in the Pledge of Allegiance today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. With that, I am looking for a motion to approve or amend the agenda as has been presented. I need a first and a second motion.
So moved.
I have Trustee Harney. Do I have a second?
Johnson.
I have Trustee Johnson as a second. I am opening up to discussion. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will pull a roll call. Trustee Aherns?
Aye.
Trustee Harney?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Schaffer?
Yes.
And Supervisor Glees is an aye. That's 5 that we move on. I am looking for a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from the December 16th, 2020 Board of Trustees regular meeting. This is, it can either be amended or approved as presented. I need a first and a second motion.
Aherns.
I have Trustee Aherns. Do I have a second?
Second, Harney.
I have Trustee Harney. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'm going to call the roll call. Trustee Harney?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Schaffer?
Yes.
Trustee Aherns?
Yes.
And Supervisor Glees is an aye. That is 5. Motion carries. I am now looking for a motion to approve or amend the treasurer's report through December 30th, 2020, and the financial statements through February 18th, 2020. The review of bank statements will be done by Trustee Harney. I need a first and a second motion.
So moved.
I have a first from Trustee Harney. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who seconded me? Johnson, thank you. Trustee Harney, will you please pull the minutes? Or I'm sorry, pull the bank statement.
Okay, I'm looking at the LTIP account just under the town clearing account. Do you want the number? 7455?
Okay. $387,919.33.
That's what I have.
Trustee Harney, my tablet is about to move on. Does that is a concurrence? Do we have any other discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion. Trustee Johnson?
No discussion.
No, I'm asking, I'm sorry, I'm
We're
pulling a
taking a
roll
roll
call.
call vote?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Trustee Schaefer?
Aye.
Trustee Aherns?
Aye.
And Trustee Harney?
Aye.
Supervisor Glees is an aye. With that, could I please start with the assessor and giving a report? Mike, please go ahead and unmute yourself. And if you see me disappear, it's because I'm flipping tablets.
All right, yeah, I lost the screen there for a minute. Excuse me. Contrary to last month when I said had a few permits in last month, this month we have a bunch of permits in. Looks like one of our municipalities finally has caught up and sent a slew of emails in with permits, about 4 months worth. So we're busy culling through those permits, entering them into our database, and preparing for field work once the weather melts, some of the snow melts. We can also do drive-bys prior to that, which we will also schedule. We've rolled over our 2020 database to 2021. Is it 20,000? 2021. We're applying home improvement exemptions, adjusting those for 2021. And also been busy with meetings with Kane County assessors and our subcommittees, and also discussing with other taxing bodies and assessors offices, Lake County, McHenry County, just getting a handle on how they're addressing some of the COVID adjustments in commercial properties. We've gathering a plan together, and we shall soon have a plan that we're going to kind of distribute out to the assessors and have a cohesive plan of attack in adjusting these assessments as they come in. That's about it, really.
Okay, thank you very much. Could I, Highway Commissioner Sinnett, I thought I saw you pop in. Could you give a report, please?
Sure. Well, I don't really have too much to say other than we've been plowing just about every other day. In the morning, you know, I'm sure you all know what's been happening. Doing quite a bit of tree trimming during the other half time, you know. We've been working on the budget and the union negotiations for the guys. You know, when they plow, all the salt's got to get removed when it comes back. So it's keeping everybody busy right now. And that's about it. And we've got the old truck ready to go onto the park it out front to sell it. I couldn't think what I wanted to say. That's really about it. What happened?
Are you still there, Scott?
Yeah, I don't worry. Did you?
I have a question. How are we doing on salt?
We're plenty good.
Okay.
Good. We had, you know, we still had to commit to some this year, and we've got plenty. We've got plenty. I'm sure we'll have enough.
Very good. I forgot to ask the trustees, were there any questions for Assessor Bielak? Are there any questions for Highway Commissioner Sinnett? Okay. All right. Let's move on to the 708 Mental Health Board President. Mr. Setz, could you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I just did, Trish. I have no report.
There's no report?
No
Okay,
report.
thank you very much. I'm gonna give this the open space report. The board received, the Board of Trustees received Kirby DeWatt's report. He wants me to add a couple of things in there. He states currently they're working under the open space program continues to move forward and continues to improve. While they are not working directly with volunteers, they are supporting their work 100%. And they're supplementing the work that the staff-led projects that normally occur. The volunteers have started to do, and the open space staff comes around after them to finish off any projects that need to be done. What that essentially means is volunteers are whipping or cutting, and the staff is herbiciding. And then he does want us to know that over at Salamander Springs, we added a garbage can and a doggy doo-doo bag bucket. And that's right by the trailhead. So hopefully anybody who does walk at Salamander, they see the garbage can. It is not painted, and he says it looks a little rubbishy, but once it gets warmer, it can be repainted. Otherwise, they are moving through Library Springs. There was a picture in on his last page where an old fence post a tree has started to encompass it, and he just wanted me to let you know that nature adapts around what human people do. Okay. Any questions on that report?
I'd have one.
Who said I have one?
Johnson.
Thank you, George. Go ahead.
Last meeting, I mentioned that there was an individual interested in a proposal to rebuild the bridge that washed out.
That
I
is
wonder if
correct.
Anything ever came of that?
We are, well, before the holidays, we talked. Kirby and I have a meeting scheduled with him on Monday.
Okay,
So it will, he will have to provide us a quote. But we are, we're working through it.
good.
All right. I will then go to my report. Assessor Bielak made a security COVID change.
Oh, what? We lost her.
We lost her.
Supervisor.
Yeah, what? What did I do?
It's all your
No
fault.
idea, Mike. Fill us in. She'll be back.
So good.
Well, I'd like to report what I did, but I'm not sure.
Hear anything?
She said a COVID report, didn't she?
I
don't
think
know.
something. That
You
was
talk
it.
about that or the fact that you bought some things under COVID. I don't know.
Maybe that. We did put up we sectioned off our front counter is no longer open, which is a good enhancement. And my staff is really happy with that. Now we have 3 windows up front rather than the big open window. Personally, I like open for the public, but in terms of COVID, we took advantage of the time and had a contractor in and walled off. It looks like it's always been there. There she is. Can't hear.
Oh. Okay. Okay. There's a temporary hold here. Chris, I'm going to in the interim ask you to unmute and give your report if you have one for the Kane County Board.
Okay, sure. Let me see if I can get my notes up here, make it work. Hi, yeah, Chris Caius, Kane County Board member for District 23 in Dundee Township and Kane County Forest President. Still doesn't roll off the tongue real easy, but I'm getting there. Three items this week or this month. The CARES Act Allocation Committee has pretty much wrapped up everything they're doing. We will be distributing the last of the monies of the $92 million that was given to the county to distribute to municipalities, and the township received some. And the business grants are, I believe they're just finishing them up now. In addition to the $92 million we recently applied for and will receive a $15 million grant for rental assistance to be distributed through, the emphasis will be on low income renters and also mom and pop type operations for the landlords. So that it'll be, I think, $40,000 or less for the renters, and the mechanism for that distribution has not been decided yet, since it just came up recently and we had to apply for it very quickly, but we expect to see distribution beginning in April. Then third, I think of the hot topics that we have is the vaccines. Well, we're not receiving enough vaccines from the feds and through the state, so our distribution is slow. We have approximately 3% of the county that have received vaccinations. Those are in Group 1A, which are the first responders, nurses, nursing homes. And we expect possibly by March to begin reaching 1B, which will be a really large group, 65 and older, as well as a lot of other qualifiers for that. There is a sign up. You can sign up to receive information if you go to either, if you subscribe to Kane County Connects or go to the Kane County Health Department, you can sign up to receive information about where and when to sign up, when it is available. It's not available yet for the general public, and hopefully by next week, the state will also have a sign up that we will run our traffic into sign up so that you can sign up for the state and be ready for it. They'll have all your qualifiers. You submit a form so that you can, they'll know who will be in what order when the vaccine become available. And I think that's all I have, unless there's other questions.
Yeah,
Does
question.
anybody on the board have a question?
Yes, Chris, I have a question. It's George.
Yes, hi, George.
Hi. I saw a thing in the press where there's going to be some physical improvements at the Buffalo the reserve, including new restrooms and a new warming hut or something. Do you know specifically the location of those new facilities?
Well, they'll be at the top of the hill. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
It could either be the top of the hill or the bottom of the hill. That's about the only two options.
It's going to be at the top of the hill. The parking lots are finished. There'll be it's scaled down from the original proposal, which was designed originally designed to for the Raging Buffalo ski area, but we didn't receive proposals to manage that, so that was redesigned, cut back on there'd be no building, like there won't be a lodge or anything, but there will be a shelter. There's currently two parking lots. They're pretty good sized parking lots right there at the top of the hill on the, well, you see just down the road from you on the east side. and a trailhead that will lead to the trail that out into the forest preserve. Other improvements besides the shelter and the parking lots is the King County, as part of the Long Meadow Parkway project, are going to be planting something like 1,600 trees in the quote unquote near future within the next couple of years. Apparently there's a very big shortage, there's a severe shortage of small trees. So they've contracted to start the trees and then replant them when they're about 2 or 3 years old. And they expect that to be more successful than planting larger trees, which I guess really aren't available right now anyway. The best way to do it, I guess, is because everybody was staying home, everybody's planting so many trees, there just aren't any native trees around. So it'll be a mix of trees, and they should be ready to plant within the next couple of years.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question, Chris, and this comes from probably out in left field. Is there any way to connect Dixie and Raging Buffalo across 31? I mean, if that's quite a, it doesn't seem there's a good place for people to cross and get back and forth, like with bikes and whatever. I know there's under the road, there is a very large culvert that you can actually walk in, and it's by it exits by that in back of one of the houses on Raging, further north from Raising Buffalo. Is there any plans in the future, any thought of those connections?
The Forest Preserve is not looking, to my knowledge, the Forest Preserve is not looking into that. I'd certainly be happy to bring it up as a subject and see what's possible. The emphasis right now is connecting, of course, once the bridge is done, there'll be a bike path that'll reach the Fox River Trail. They've improved the southern end of Bruner and repaved it behind the industrial park down there. And the idea is to improve the trails as we can throughout the whole thing. There's something like 8 miles worth of trails in the Forest Preserve. It's the largest forest preserve that we have. And I'd like to see it connect right down behind the, where they just repaved it behind the industrial park, right behind Lincolnwood Manor there, the houses down there, goes right to Carpentersville Park, or the Carpentersville Dam, and then right down the road there on Lincoln Avenue, or just off Lincoln Avenue to Otto and across the bridge there. I think it'd be a great circle to go up one side of the river, go under the bridge, across, and back down through Bruner and back. And we are working on connections to Raceway Woods as well.
That's good to hear. I think it would be neat to include Dixie in that. I know it's owned by different entities, but if that's something that we can, pursue, I think that would be a great idea. Of course, all along the last 2 years, I found that anyway, but even more as a president, I found out we're looking for connections to other entities as much as we can, work in cooperation with the villages that our trails run through or that we connect to, so I see that as a win-win. Yeah, I do too.
On that note, I guess, Trish, you may be hearing about, we were talking about signs. You should hopefully be hearing something in the next week or two, if you haven't already, about signage, maybe working with that up in Raceway Woods.
Yep, that was going to be part of my report. But if you want to, we can kind of dovetail this, Chris, since you are the president of the Kane County Forest Preserve. We've had so I'm going to stop for 1 minute. Due to the fact that we've had a technical issue, I am in Deputy Clerk Bob's office, and therefore we are both, we are social distance, but we are both I'm wearing a face shield, he's wearing a mask, but you no longer see him. So I have taken over his comfy, warm place. We had a resident reach out to me with a particular complaint about bicycles in Raceway Wood on the Dundee Township side. And we've had a couple collisions. So when Mr. Kyles became the president of the Kane County Forest Preserve. I reached out to him and we both responded to the resident along with a letter from Monica Myers, who is she's the director of the Forest Preserve. And we talked about doing a joint sign project where we would put some more, without it being sign pollution, get some more signs out there, one to designate boundaries, but also to make sure people have their dogs on leashes, that they, people know that biking is not necessarily is not acceptable in Raceway, except for the lower half, which we have designated for camber. And Mr. Kyles has done a great work as being the in-between guy, if you will.
So that's my report anyway.
All right.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Good to see,
Hi.
good to see you guys all on.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris.
Before I give my report, I'm going to ask for a 1 or 2 second so that I can move the laptop so that Bob and I stop having a cross echo. So hang on, I'm not going to stop recording, but don't talk either. I don't have a clue what I dropped, Bob.
Apparently Paradise is following her along.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much. Technology at its finest. Can everybody hear me?
Yep, you're loud and clear for me.
Okay, can everybody see me?
You're
Your
very
lighting is
dark.
a little dark. It's behind you.
Okay. All right, if I hadn't gotten my steps in before this, I'm pretty sure I just did. Okay, I'm very sorry once again, and I do appreciate everybody's patience with this. My supervisor's report, as I started to say, due to COVID and security issues, Assessor Bielak added a walled glass partition. In doing so, it has blocked one of the cameras. And so Assessor Bielak has not gotten back to me yet, but we're making a determination of whether we need a second camera or if we're just moving the camera. If there's a second camera, that will be an increase or there will be a technology fee associated with that. My second update is with riding cane. We are seeing a few more riders, but Pace is going to continue to maintain a 1 rider per bus or per taxi. This does not affect our cost. It is changing some of the routes and the schedules. I have been speaking with our ridership to tell them to add 5 to 10 minutes onto every ride. So if they, for example, if they have a 9 o'clock doctor's appointment, I'm telling them that they should schedule the ride for 8:45. One, we are in winter and snow, and although the highway commissioner and his crew does an excellent job on the township roads, we know that sometimes our state route roads have a little bit of a problem. The next thing, this makes me, I'm very happy or very excited. I have been appointed to the RTA Transit Access Accessory Board. This is an appointment. I will be representing Kane County as a director. I will be working to ensure all of the residents in Kane County who have access via paratransit to get around. So I'm very excited about that appointment. And then I was asked by Jack Cunningham's staff to remind everybody, and we have done this via Facebook, that you can request your ballot by mail. You can go online to the Kane County elections. If you do not have a computer access, you can call 630-232-5990, and they will be, his staff will be happy to help you through filling out and requesting a mail-in ballot. The last day to request a vote by mail is February 18th. Our next newsletter is scheduled for January 30th. We are currently carrying, and this is another bells and whistles. We've gotten, we're at 404 newsletter receivers. So we have, in the last 30 days, have increased by 15 people. Facebook is reaching over 303,739 people. And that's combined between the township and open space. And our Google searches have included fun activities for children, which is associated with Wahoo Woods. I don't make these up. Where to ride my bike, and that's associated with Cambur and Raceway, and Dogwood. And Dogwood is associated with Dixie. So that is my report. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Oh, as usual, I have one.
Okay.
I was made aware that, and this could have gone on the open space report as well, that there was a rather serious collision in Raceway between a biker and a pedestrian.
Correct.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the circumstances and the follow-up?
Yes, and then I have one more, and George, if I forget this, remind me, Stuart. Between the Christmas holiday and New Year's, I received a phone call from a woman, and she and her child, who was in a stroller, was hit by a fat tire biker. The biker, if you are familiar with Raceway Woods, came off a hill near Doan's Corner, which bikes are not allowed. We have signs there, we have a barricade there, but he came barreling down. He did hit them. They did or they didn't. They did not call 911. They did exchange some information, but he did not have a driver's license because he's obviously on a bike. But this is a completely different complaint than our other resident who has many concerns. And She walked away with scrapes. She did want to know what the township would or could do. And, you know, I spoke with our insurance and our insurance said, you know, there's nothing. So I have spoken with the stewards who work at Raceway. I've spoken with both of our open space personnel and have said, if there's an issue, if you see anything, you know, please remind our residents, our walkers, our hikers, that when an issue like that, it's dial 911 immediately. Because apparently they, you know, whatever information she got, she has no way to follow up with him, but there doesn't appear to have been, you know, any hospital type stays or, you know, any medical. But this is why Chris Kyles and I, you know, this just brings on, along with Monica Myers of Kane County, this is why we want to get more signs. It's visibility and I've spoken to the head of Camber, and it's not his guys. It's people who are coming from either Chicago or they're coming from South Wisconsin. And this is apparently where this gentleman was from. Heard about our property, heard about, you know, this is what you can do. And it's just a lack of understanding, I think. I don't think it's a lack of, I don't think it's they don't care. I think they just see all of this open land and they, you know, these fat tire bikes are primarily for off-road craziness. And they just, it's just something that, you know, Mr. Kyles and I will continue to work on to clear. I mean, we can't stop it because we can't police it. You know, we don't have a police force there. Our staff can't be there all the time. I can't be there all the time. The stewards can't be there. So I'm hoping through continual conversations, Monica Myers and I talked about possibly a pamphlet, a do and a do not. One of the problems, Trustee Johnson, added to this is that the Kane County side of Raceway allows bikes and we don't. And we don't, you know, there's not like this razor fence or there's not like this big yellow line that says you are now leaving Kane County. And if we put signposts every 100 feet along the borderline, that would just look so horrible. I mean, that would truly be sign pollution. So we are continuing to close up any of those animal trails that people have started, you know, to reuse as bikes. And, you know, so we're putting stones, logs, you know, any other ideas, you know, Mr. Kyles and I, you know, we'll figure, you know, we'll work on it. We'll figure what is not, and it has to be a safety issue, not only for the walker, hiker, jogger, but also for the biker, because the bikers get very surprised when they come around the corner and they see people there. It's almost as if they don't realize it's a multi-use trail, you know, and they get very surprised that there's a person there, you know, who happens to be walking. So does that answer your question?
It does. If this is the place that I'm thinking of at Doan's Corners, is it?
Yes, it is.
There is an obvious place where it's almost kind of a ski jump for bikers.
Correct. That is exactly where that person came out.
Where it ends right at the pedestrian path.
Correct.
In places like that, if we could identify them and pile up logs immediately, almost on an emergency basis.
Yep, that's what we're doing. And we have
Brush piles, anything.
well, we don't have brush piles. Highway Commissioner Sinnett, are you you're still on the call? We
Yeah.
what what is, I'm looking for the word, we have the barricade up there that has the slats with the construction lines on it. What, are those just called barricades?
You mean like, for like road closures?
Yeah.
They're, yeah, I mean, they're just it's just a big high fence with two brackets on either end to hold it.
Okay, so we've installed one of those. Hopefully that will, it's not going to stop them, but we're gathering logs, we're gathering rocks.
We're not going to leave that barrier there though, because those are so ugly and intrusive.
For right now, until
I mean,
we
for
can
right now, yeah.
figure out Kirby's idea, because it's at the top. Kirby's thought was, as we do our spring bush order, you know, our what we're going to put there, we would put a couple things there to hide that ski jump, for lack of better terms, you know. So once we can get some plantings up there, we would take the barricades down.
Okay, I'm thinking if you put something at the top and a more permanent thing, like one of those fence baffles that we have where you can walk through it, but you can't bike through it.
Yeah, you can't do that. There's not that much space. Where the top is maybe 20 feet, 30 feet tops. So you couldn't get one of those baffles through there.
I've been up there. I think you could. You know, and I think I know where that trail is, and
Sure.
there is room up there to do something like that. So
And we
just
can-
another idea on the table.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
can't
no,
get this
that's-
solved tonight.
I'll put that in. And anybody who wants to meet with me to hike up there, I'm glad to, you know, I'm more than happy to show you where it is. Mr. Kaios and I we don't have anything on the books yet, but we are going to take a full walk through both sides of the property to see, you know, where we can do the most good.
Aaron there, did he have a
Trish, let
driver's
me know
license?
when you do that, and I will come with you. I'd like to come with you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yep.
Aaron's there. Did he have a driver's license at all or just didn't have it with him?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm the,
I understand.
yeah, I don't know.
And
mean-
you obviously told the woman that she absolutely has to call 911. I just continue to be very surprised at people who are really, you know, have these problems. And this could have been a really disastrous injury. And, you know, and they come to the township, you know, days later saying, well, what can you do about it? It's like, this is a police matter. You need to call 911 when someone does that.
Yeah.
And get the information.
And that is what I expressed. I really did. But you're right. I mean, this is a continual, it's almost as if we get them out of Snuffy's Prairie and out of Ranch Road, and, you know, then they pop up here, and then we move, you know, it's a moving target. So, you know, hopefully the Kane County Forest Preserve, and, you know, we will work jointly to get this, at least an education portion, right, Chris? We will get the education out there, whether or not we can actually stop them. Neither one of us has the police force to do that. But we will make sure everybody is educated.
Try and educate, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Trustee Johnson was supposed to tell me, Stuart, I am excited. I guess I'm kind of excited all about this today. I am excited to announce that Carol Weinhammer has accepted to become the co-steward at Dixie Briggs from, and since we have co-stewards, the Johnson, Rose and George Johnson are the other set of stewards for the first time. And this is, Kirby is so excited about this because we will no longer have my side or your side. They're going to work together. We will still, because of the management units, we will still be calling it, you know, there'll be Dixie West Management Unit 1 or Dixie East Management Unit 7, because that's the only way from a management perspective, but they're going to be working hand in hand. And I'm really excited. And I got to meet Carol via Zoom for the first time and got to hear her story and how long she's lived in the township. And she's backed up against Dixie Briggs her entire life, and her family has played in Dixie and has climbed in the trees and played in the creek. So, and she has grandchildren who are now doing the same thing. So I'm very excited about this. So if any of you are out and do see Carol, please congratulate her for accepting the, it's not only an honor, but I know it's so much hard work. And she is just up to the challenge of that. So I'm very excited.
We're very excited too. Carol's an outstanding person. And as far as hard work is concerned,
George, I can't hear you.
Yeah, we've lost him.
We lost you for a minute, George. Can you repeat that?
Are we frozen?
Oh, there you are. You're
There
back.
you are, you're back.
Okay.
Well, and I want to second that. I've worked with Carol. She's absolutely terrific. And so I'm so pleased that she's agreed to do this. She'll be a real asset, and maybe we can mend some of the problems we had up there before. And that's really one of our very best sites.
Yes, it is. It is the #1 site in the township. Okay, with that, I am going to open up the meeting to public questions or comments.
Could we do trustee reports first?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ken. Yes, could we please get a trustee report? Do we have any?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment just for a technicality. You had sent out a letter to some open space concerned residents, but it said that you had spoken to all of the trustees, which I did not speak with you. And also at the end of it, you said the Board of Trustees essentially had expectations. So I just wanted to clarify that there wasn't any discussion, and I feel more comfortable if it was a letter generated outside of the open meetings that it didn't reflect the board as far as a discussion.
So Ken, you're referring to the Salamander Springs property and the gentleman who live on Adams. I gave each of you an opportunity to reply to me. I did get a reply from Trustee Harney. I also got a reply from Open Space Foreman, Mr. DeWitt. And it relatively, the letter, as you stated, went to one particular resident who did have does not like, doesn't like people on Salamander Springs. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. But, it expressed what the township has said to him on several occasions. And so next time, I did give the board an adequate time to respond to me, to add their comments. As I said, I did get comments from Trustee Harney. Next time all I can say is, please reach out to me if you do have comments.
Well, that's sort of, these sorts of things, if you're going to include the Board of Trustees, should be discussed at an open meeting, and then the letter should be generated. So I'm just uncomfortable with responding because getting all the trustees to go back and forth and talk to each other to make a decision.
Well,
similar thing happened last month regarding the tax levy, and we had voted on having a 20% increase, happened at a board meeting, never had a open meeting for the budget, and it was not published. And I don't know why that decision was made, because once we make a motion, I mean, why are we having meetings if things aren't going to be acted on?
Ken, there was no decisions made. It was a letter of explanation as to what open space is, how open space works, and the fact that it is public property to be used by the public during the hours of dawn to dusk.
Right.
As I said, if you had any comments, it was, I gave the board the opportunity to review the letter that I was sending to the residents. And all the letter stated was the clear facts of open space. There was no declaration. I explained to them that if he felt that there was illegal activity happening, it was his responsibility to dial 911. We do
Right.
not.
And if that's under your signature, it's great. I would prefer you not include the Board of Trustees unless it's been discussed at an open meeting.
Okay,
Because going around and getting a decision for a vote on what our expectations are isn't appropriate.
well, okay, but I wasn't going around for a vote because the expectations of open space have been in place since circa 1997. What I was doing, Ken, was allowing you the opportunity to read the letter I was giving to the residents to provide any other input. There was
Correct, which is a
no
decision-making
decision.
process. Well, it's a
Next time
decision-making
when a letter comes directly from the supervisor, I will duly note that I will not say the Board of Trustees.
That would be appreciated.
Thank you. Are there any other comments, any other trustee reports?
No report, Johnson.
Okay. Do I have an office manager's report? Okay, Bob, you're on mute.
Nope, no report from office manager.
Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I am now opening the meeting to public questions or comments. There is a limit of 3 minutes per person. The supervisor, clerk, assessor, highway commissioner, and trustees will not respond to questions during the public comments period. Any follow-up comments will be made at the discretion of the elected official. With that, I am going to unmute people one at a time. And if you have a comment, please state your name. If you do not have a comment, please say pass. Mr. McCray, I'm asking you to unmute. Do you have a comment? Mr. McCray has not unmuted. I will assume he does not have a comment. Ms. Calabrese, I'm asking you to unmute yourself. Do you have a comment?
Good evening. I do not have a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Telephone number 122. I'm asking you to unmute. And do you have a public comment?
Pass.
Pass, thank you. 711, you've already told me you didn't have a public comment. 781, I'm asking you to unmute. Do you have a public comment?
No, no comment at this time.
Thank you. And 324, I'm asking you to unmute. And do you have a public comment? Three, two, four. Okay, 324 has not unmuted.
Thank you. 324 just
Mike Tennis,
unmuted.
no comment.
I'm sorry. Oh, Mr. Tennis, no comment. Thank you. Okay, with that, that ends the public comments section. And let's move on to new business. In front of you, you received the package, and I am looking for a motion to review, discuss, and approve the Thigh Crest and Oars proposal to complete the 2021 financial audit. I need a first and a second.
So moved. First,
I-
Johnson.
I have trustee Johnson.
Second,
Who said that?
Schaefer.
Okay, thank you, trustee Schaefer. With that, I am opening the table to discussion. Is there any discussion, any questions? Okay, seeing that there's no questions and you guys are,
Trish, my internet connection got unstable there for a second.
oh, okay.
What's on the table right now?
It's on the table right now. Do you have any comments?
On the Thigh Crest and Oar?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I found in the middle of that document someplace a number roughly 17,000. I think I just went unstable again.
No, you're good. I'm looking down because I'm not on my computer, so I have to look at actual documents.
Okay, I wonder if we had a comparable number for the previous budget.
Yes, the previous or the past year, it was 17,000 even, and they're asking for 17,500 for the next year.
No further questions for me. Trish just disappeared.
Yeah.
George, does it
She
answer your
found-
question?
Answered my question.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing no more, I'm going to ask for a roll call. Trustee Aherns,
Yes,
trustee Schaefer,
Aye.
trustee Harney,
Aye.
trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Supervisor Glees is an aye. That's 5. The motion carries. We will be working with Thigh Crest and Oar again this year. Next in front of you, I'm looking for a motion to review, discuss, and approve the budget fiscal year 2021-2022. I need a first and a second motion.
So moved.
I would like to
Schaefer.
make a motion to discuss it, not to approve it. We don't have any figures to approve here.
Oh, right, exactly. It's only going to be a discuss. There's not going to, it's going to get tabled. There'll be.
Zero expenses would be just fine.
I need a motion for this to continue.
Move to discuss the budget.
I have trustee Harney. Do I have a second?
Second. To discuss.
Thank you. All right, go ahead and discuss. There are, just for everybody who is on the phone, Highway Commissioner Sinnett and Assessor Bielak received their portions of the budget. I know that they, just like myself, are working on the budget. We do not have any numbers. This will be at least 1 or 2 meetings. It'll be on this agenda. It'll move to, it'll keep moving. This was an opportunity for the trustees to see the incoming money and to see if there was any discussion, comments, that they wanted to provide to Assessor Bielak, Highway Commissioner Sinnett, or myself as far as guidelines when we are working with our budget.
Well, I'm very concerned that we're so late in the game here. This budget should be taking effect March 1st. So we have essentially 1 more meeting until this has to be approved. And of course, we don't even have numbers at this point. I do have a suggestion. And I'd like to I looked at the numbers today. We have income numbers minus any transfer from reserves or from the capital reserve fund. it looks to me like we're going to have just over $1 million worth of income next year. I think that it's an estimate, but I think it's a pretty good one. In fact, the estimate is $1,113,860. And so I took the pie chart that was included in Bob's email today about, shoot, just a second, I'll find it, about the total expenses, or the percentage of expenses for total expenditures throughout January till January of this year. And for example, can y'all bring up the pie chart, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. It's in your packet and everything. For instance, the assessor's office has a number 364,568. It's 29% of the total expenditures, 13% of total expenditures for open space, et cetera, all the way around. My suggestion is that in accordance with George's idea that we at least start from a place where we are not spending more than we're taking in this year, which is the $1,113,860, that percentage from that pie chart be applied to it. And that would mean that, for instance, for the supervisor's office, the supervisor's target budget for this year would be $256,188. And that is minus the salaries, I believe. I don't see salaries in there. So again, we're talking operational expenses, and that's a starting point to talk. The assessor's office, I believe salaries would be in there, but not his salary, would be $323,20, and so on. Is that, have I made myself clear what I'm proposing here? And what I'm suggesting is these are starting numbers for the department heads to come up with numbers, you know, to work there. And that is minus any capital expenses or any money that we're drawing from reserves. But if we can keep those operational expenses within that overall figure of $1,113,000, we are well on the way then to being able to manage our budget and not have to dip into reserves, at least not except for capital expenses.
Okay.
Comment, Sue?
I'm sorry?
I wholeheartedly support that approach. And I would propose that those be added to the list of guiding principles.
Okay.
I don't know, your picture keeps freezing up, so I don't know if you're all hearing me or not.
We can hear you.
I would like to start with that list of guiding principles and see if there is consensus, or if necessary by vote, to support that. And those principles would be that we not spend more than we take in, as you just mentioned, and make an exception of open space because of the reserve, the dedicated reserve for open space, and also make a note that that is not to be diverted for other purposes, and that the incoming board in May be familiarized with the guiding principles that we use to construct this budget. And I love the idea that you just described. I don't know, you talked kind of fast there, of applying a percentage similar to the percentages on the pie charts that Bob constructed to the new income figures for each department, call it the department. So yes, I would like to hear some comments on whether there's a support for starting out with those principles rather than trying to go line by line and figure out $25 here and $50 there and go around in circles until 2 a.m. as we have done in the past.
So I do, the guiding principles are great. And when it comes to open space, if we're going to use open space monies for open space purposes, I'm assuming you're going to put Kirby's salary into the open space section?
No, that's not an assumption you can make.
Okay.
No, it's, the assumption is simply, or the guiding principle is simply that any money withdrawn from that reserve is applied to specifically open space in some way.
Okay, well, and that is what that's what has happened year after year after year. administration after administration, going all the way back to, once again, 1997, 1998.
That's a good thing.
You know, money is not, money is, that is in the open space fund is used for the open space. Now, you do realize that the township pays for it, and at the end of the year, we true up, and we make one lump deposit,
Withdrawal.
or, well, a withdrawal and a deposit, I guess. But then that is going to be a concern, is obviously payroll expenses, you know, and, you know, how are we going to handle that? So I wholeheartedly think that the guiding principles, within reason, realizing that our commodities such as gas, oil, fuel, you know, those telecom, you know, we have no control over those, though, you know, those prices are those prices. Obviously telecom, which is kind of nice, our telecom services are pre-negotiated for multi-years, so those aren't going to go up, but we can't control gas, electric. But being within the total expenditures, as the pie chart shows and Trustee Harney talks about, I do not see that being an issue. Highway Commissioner Sinnett or Assessor Bielak, do you have any problems with these guiding principles?
Go
One at a
ahead, Scott.
time. Go ahead. Highway Commissioner Sinnett, go ahead.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I have a problem with that at all.
Okay.
I'm just kind of, just real quick look at the numbers, and from what Sue was saying, based on that pie chart, she put out a number of 323,020. I guess is an anticipated expenditure for the budget, total budget
Yes,
expenses
that's
of the
correct.
assessor. Okay,
Yes.
Keep in
That's
mind, the
bigger.
pie chart is only for what, 11 months?
right. That's my point. That's
Mhm.
only, so it's more than that. Yeah, because right there, that's a, oops, I lost it.
We can calculate these.
That's 12% reduction right there before adjusting for the 1 month, 11 out of 12 months.
Mhm.
It's
So
a,
it's,
the thing is, Mike, I think the revenue estimate that I've derived from the information that we've been given is probably pretty accurate. I think our revenues next year, our total revenues are going to be in the neighborhood of $1,113,860. And all I was doing was taking the percentage of each department out of the current budget and applying that percentage to the 1 million. And so it's a starting point. And again, we're not talking about money pulled out of capital reserves for equipment and those kinds of things. We're talking about operational expenses. And quite frankly, this 1,113,000 is what the department, that's what the township has to work with at this point. And so we may be able to adjust the percentages in different departments, but it's a zero-sum game. It means that if one department is increased, another department, you know, loses money. And so we're in the same position we've been in for the past couple of years. It's extremely painful. Our operational expenses are in excess of our income, and that is the problem. And
Okay,
so,
if I can,
go ahead.
if I can add a thought on that, we do have to redo the pie chart if you're going to want to use that as the basis, I think, only because social services are predominantly the separate levy for GA, and that would not be included in the million that you were talking about.
Okay.
Same thing with the cemetery. The cemetery pulls its money out from the property tax levy, and then it has its income. So it would not
Yeah.
be part of that million. So I can redo the charts and get those out where you have the percentages that would just be applicable to what is in the town fund.
Okay, so what I'm looking, okay, I see what you're saying, Bob. Absolutely. And so, but I think the methodology is still, we would have to make those adjustments. You can give us the information that we need, but the methodology is still probably a useful one, at least for the department heads to know what a cap might be.
Yes.
And again, I meant this as a way to start the discussion, for all of you, because we on the board need to have extensive figures by the next board meeting. In fact, I want them in 2 weeks, so I have time to look at them and go through them. And so that's probably a heavy lift for all of you. It's unfortunate, but remember, we're supposed to have this. It seems to me we have to approve this budget by the February meeting or by the March meeting. And if we do it by the March meeting, we're already operating in the next fiscal year and approving the budget after the fiscal year starts. So I know this is draconian, Mike, and I know it is. And Bob, I'm so glad you made that point, because I felt kind of sick looking at these figures, quite frankly. So if you can give us figures that are more applicable, but you would all have them, and you would know what an overall amount that is appropriate for your department, that is possible for your department, and for operational expenses. Again, if you have equipment needs that have come out of capital spending, that would be something that would be outside that.
Can you all hear me? This is
We
George.
can hear you.
I missed a significant chunk of audio there, but I would think I want to take what Sue said one step further for our next step in the budget process. When Bob rejiggers the numbers, is to give each, call it department head, a bottom line number, and put the responsibility for putting the budget together to each department head. That would be Mike and Trish and Scott. And
That's it.
who puts the cemetery budget together? Bob,
I do.
do you?
Mhm. I put the open space budget together also.
I think that would make the process a lot less painful
Mhm.
if we work backward from those numbers.
Yeah, I do like Sue's. I do like Sue's idea of the pie chart. It will give definitely from Mike's and my perspective, we know minus the social services and cemetery, we'll know what our number is. And those numbers in the total expenditures, Bob, do those include payroll?
Up and I lost it. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I'm sorry. I didn't think they did, but
I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell from what we got.
Well, this is Trustee Schaffer. Are you looking at a pie chart that just has expenditures on it?
yes.
Yes, total expenditures, it says. It came out this afternoon.
Yeah, and when I look at that, I mean, the bottom line is it needs to look strictly at revenue, how much revenue we have going in. And I don't want a lot of transfers in the process and sort of transfers in, transfers out, because my prediction for revenue is a lot less than what you're presenting.
Well,
I'm about 40 or 50,000 less than what you have projected based on a 2.9% add-on for the year-to-date tax revenue. Because we're not
Well,
going to get 5%.
I'm looking at the draft budget itself, Ken, and what I have on page 1 for the general town fund revenues is that we budgeted $1,026,000. We received $1,035,000. And so I put the figure that I put in there to work from was $1,040,000, which I think is a reasonable increase that we can probably anticipate. We budgeted $25,000 for the state replacement tax. We've received just a little over $12,000. I think $13,000 is a better number for there. Open space rental, we can probably count on $28,000, which is a pretty solid number. Interest, like we budgeted $20,000 last year, we received $3,000, so I put $3,000 in there. So those figures are in the general town fund revenues that we have, and those are solid figures. And I added them up, and it's $1,113,000.
Well, I know, and realistically, we're supposed to have anything that we're discussing 48 hours ahead of time. And we could actually look at it. Getting it the afternoon of a meeting isn't appropriate, and we probably should take a recess and come back at a later point.
Ken, if I could
We
point
need a
out,
budget.
Ken, if I could point out, you got this with the materials for the last month meeting.
No, but there's no projection on proposed budget. Got nothing. Sue's
That's
doing
just
her
what we've been talking
calculations.
about.
I'm doing my calculations. You're doing a different calculation. Year-to-date activity and budget. That's what we got from the budget for 2020 and 2021. Every single line in my proposed budget, 2021 to 2022, is blank.
Okay.
I talked to Bob this afternoon. He agreed it was blank.
Okay, how about, you are correct. How about I propose this? Highway Commissioner Sinnett, Assessor Bielak, and I will, in the next 2 weeks, hopefully, maybe 3 weeks, we will, I know how much money, Ken, we are getting in. And we will use that number from the county as our revenue. We will then use Trustee Harney and Trustee Johnson's pie chart theory to divvy up, particularly Assessor Bielak and my general town fund budget. And then we will get you those numbers. This way, you don't have to worry about coming up with your own numbers. Trustee Harney doesn't have to come up with her own numbers, and Trustee Johnson doesn't have to come up with his own numbers, and Trustee Aherns doesn't have to come up with their own numbers. The numbers will be coming from the supervisor's office, as is being presented from county, and Highway Commissioner Sinnett, who has his own levy, will use his own revenue and then his expensive. Assessor Bielak and I will use our portions or percentages minus the cemetery and social services. So it'll be what's, the general town fund and the assessor, and we will work backwards from what the revenue is to make the expenses work. This way, nobody has to come up with their own versions of anything. How is that, everyone?
I like that.
Well, yeah, I want to see a line item budget. Pie charts are great, but I want to see a line item budget because there has been some adjustments. Salaries are going to go down in the assessor's office based on our agreement at the last, when we set salaries. So there should be some adjustment there. So don't use last year's revenues to determine what your projections are going to be coming up. The expenditures from last year are irrelevant.
It's not at all what we've been talking about.
We're not. We are talking about the revenue to which our levies, which are presented to the county, is what we're getting. Those are the numbers in the revenues that we're talking about.
Right.
Talking about projected revenues for 21, 22. Breaking that down into percentages for each department. Giving those single numbers to each department head and having them prepare a line.
The
That's what we
only,
want to do.
right, the only difference is you've always received a line item budget from everybody. The only difference is we're going to instead of, I will present to Assessor Bielak and to Highway Commissioner Sinnett what our revenues are, and we will still do our line item expenses so you know where the money is going. And I will still use a pie chart because I do believe Trustee Harney and Trustee Johnson are correct. When you look at the pie chart, it's easier as a whole to digest it. No pun intended. And you will still can have your line item, we'll still have the line items. One of the things that is going to fall, unfortunately, on the shoulders of the trustees is when you get these documents, you need to review them prior to the day of the meeting. Because unfortunately, what happens, other questions, my office gets inundated with this and that and those and these. And you're right, Ken, I can't be making changes to documents 24, 48 hours. So I will guarantee you will receive the documents with adequate time. But I also need from you all to ensure you're going to reach out to me if you have questions prior to 48 hours of the meeting. I cannot be taking phone calls an hour before the meeting, 3 hours before the meeting, unless there's a gross error, you blew your computer up or you don't have the documents, etc. And if reading the documents are too difficult on your computers, I will be glad to deliver you the ledger style documents. I have no problem throwing them in your mailbox. I really don't. You to be printing out, if you had to print out the ledger style budget on regular 8x11, I'm pretty sure that would be horrendous. I can't imagine how many sheets, but it would be very hard to read. So I will deliver them to you. But you also have to do me a solid and, kind of take that 48 hours, and look at it prior to the meeting.
Well, I would agree with Sue that I would like to see something, because we have to give 30 days for notification for the public. So right now, it looks like the middle of March is the earliest we can take a vote on a budget if we can decide on something next month. My fear is this going to carry on and we're going to have a new board seated before this budget's approved?
Okay.
And that's not fair to the new board, whomever's on that board.
I concur. Highway Commissioner Sinnett, Assessor Bielak, could you please unmute yourselves?
Go ahead.
Can I get a approval and confirmation that you will get me your budget documents, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me, by February 3rd? Is that an acceptable date for you? That would give me at least a day or two to enter them in, and I can then guarantee the board would have them by February 5th. There should be no surprises. We know if we have any capital expenses already. Can you do that?
Yeah, I think I can do that. I think I can do that fine. I'll talk to you before that, get the numbers, and it should be fine.
Yeah, Scott, the thing I think you're gonna have the hardest problem with is you don't know how many more snowstorms we're gonna have and how much more how much more salt you're gonna have to need. I think you guess on that, that's kind of a moving target because you don't know what's going to get predicted, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure we'll be fine. We have, because every year we have to commit to a certain amount of tonnage, and
Okay.
we haven't got it all yet, and we've still got plenty in the shack. So I don't think that's a worry this year.
Okay. Assessor Bielak.
Yeah, I can do it. I need to get the wage and salary spreadsheet from Bob with any adjustments, if he
Correct.
knows them yet.
Yes, you will. I will guarantee you will have your wage and salary by Friday morning, if
Okay.
not sooner.
Okay.
Board of Trustees, Trustee Johnson, Trustee Harney, Trustee Aherns, and Trustee Schaffer. Do you agree to my quote unquote terms that you will receive the budget documents on or before February 5th?
I think we have a deal.
We have a
Okay.
deal, absolutely.
And
And-
you agree that you will have any questions minus
That's part of the deal.
48 hours before? I will not, I want to vocalize, I will not take calls from you unless they're technical issues 48 hours prior to this meeting. Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable. We'll
That's
do it.
acceptable.
Do you want me to just automatically deliver you the ledger styles?
That's helpful for me, and I don't mind picking mine up.
George,
No, I'd rather have mine over the internet.
Richard,
I'll pick mine up.
okay, Ken,
Excel spreadsheet, please.
Caution, look out for the ice in the parking lot. It's pretty bad.
It's gonna
Okay.
thaw by then.
I don't know.
So Mike, I was expecting you to bring that up during your report.
I completely forgot that.
So since I'll make a comment to that. Since we now have an agreement, it has been verbalized, vocalized, and been written down. I am going to table this discussion until February 17th.
I have one more thing before we do that I want
Okay,
to add here. Okay,
Sure.
we have an open space bond fund that
Yes.
for the past several years has no activity. We put $100 in it as an estimate for the budget of income or something like that. I think interest income. I would like to suggest that we close this out. This is not something, the bonds are paid off. We're not going to have any things show up anymore. And we just get it out of our lives so we don't have to fool with it anymore and just
All right,
take it out completely.
I will see what I have to do with the state of Illinois treasurer to close that account.
How much is there?
Nothing.
There's nothing in there. It's empty.
There's $100, isn't there?
No, there's
No.
$3,059 and it has to be approved for dissolution by the electors assembly at an annual town meeting
Ah,
before we can
I did not
remove
see
it.
that figure in here, Bob. Okay.
Trish,
yep.
I keep losing audio, so I'm going to also dial in on the phone.
Okay, we'll take a minute while you do that, okay? We won't talk. George is going to, Trustee Johnson is having internet issues. He is going to be dialing in, so we are going to hold the proceedings right now.
Okay, so I want to go back to what Bob just said.
No,
I'm
you
looking.
can't talk.
Okay,
I'm sorry, George can't hear us.
I just have a
I
question.
can hear you sometimes. You keep cutting
Okay,
out.
go ahead. You just had a question. Go ahead.
Okay, the fund that the thing that I'm talking about is I have a sheet here and it has 0 in it. It has one projected budgetary item of $100 for interest, which we did not receive. So there's 0 in the account. It's called the Open Space Bond Fund.
Right, but
And then it
there's a
says Open
balance.
Space Bond Escrow Fund.
Right, but there is there's nothing in the activity for this coming budget, but there's a balance in the account of the 3,059 that we left in there because we did not know if there were going to be other closing costs in closing out the bonds.
Okay,
So,
understood. Thank you.
And that's listed on the financial sheets, right?
right, that's on the
all of
regular
the-
financial report.
Right. And there's actually 2 accounts there, correct, for open space?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. While George is dialing in, I'm going to,
My attempt to dial in failed, so I'm just going to go with what we got here.
okay. All right, I'm gonna go with so Assessor Bielak and I, we have a slight parking lot issue. The parking lot gets plowed by the cemetery and they do we don't have a spreader, so we hand spread it. Highway Commissioner Sinnett can, and particularly it's the shady side of the parking lot that never gets sun, that is literally, Mike and I, was it yesterday, Mike, when you pulled in? Mike
Right.
pulled in and, went to, what break, he broke, or he was
I
breaking.
slid.
And he just slid. I just watched him slide. Highway Commissioner Sinnett, can we, after snows, can we have one of the highway trucks run through with salt? Can you figure out at the end of the year what the tonnage is, and we will, the town fund will make you.
Yeah.
I thought East Dundee was going to manage that parking lot.
East Dundee is
Wasn't
not
that the
doing it
original
at all.
agreement?
They do
No,
not
wasn't that
have,
the agreement?
they do not have the plows or the ability.
How can that be?
They have streets.
They're busy doing the streets. They're busy. They're busy doing.
That was the original agreement for that building, though.
Well,
As
I
part of the
understand that.
association.
I understand that, and I would have to say, it was there was an original agreement with the state of Illinois that they would do State Highway 25, 31, and 72, yet they don't, and the corresponding villages are picking up the slack. So they do not have the ability to do it. Mike's staff, Assessor Bielak staff gets in about 7. We do get it plowed in time, but as I said, I have been hand salting it. I believe Mike's staff has been hand salting it. And it's just, we can't do it. It is just incomparable for us to do it. So Highway Commissioner Sinnett, can you figure out, how much,
Yeah,
and can you run a truck?
I'll do that.
Okay,
I'll figure it out, let you know. But you should investigate the fact that they're not plowing that lot. That's baloney. I mean, how do you sell a building like that? And I know they did it for the last 3 years because I haven't done it.
right. Well, the last 3 years we've had the cemetery doing it, and Mike and I have, or at least I know I have been hand salting it, and this, it's just gotten away from us. We just can't, the sunny side of the shadow side of the building is just knocking us out.
So how about we block that off, the really bad part, and you guys just park in the places where the sun shines? Would that be a solution as well, or something on that order? I mean, it's a huge parking lot and it's
Yeah.
not used very much.
Yeah, we could.
You
We
wouldn't be
still got to
able,
walk through to
Gotta walk
the
past it,
employee
yeah.
entrance.
you would have to, in doing that, Mike, your staff would have to use the front door as opposed to that employee entrance.
Can you buy open space, a salt spreader that goes on back of one of their pickups?
I don't know.
Why? We don't have a need for that.
There's
Well,
all
we-
Does open space have a need for it?
You don't
Well-
have need for it. You just told me you got salt, you need salt.
Well, so,
Open space isn't the township building.
well, right, but open,
Yeah, but they're doing the work there.
wait, hang on. Hang on, because Trustee Aherns might be onto something, because
Yeah.
Scott, you, Kirby and I called you last week, said the bar. Did you do Raceway or anywhere else with snow, with the salt?
I did open space barn in the driveway over there,
Yep,
and somewhere in Raceway, I guess, parking lot,
okay.
and then your office.
Trustee Johnson, you're on the line. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm trying.
I'm feeding back.
Yes,
Yeah, you have
are.
an echo. You have to mute your computer.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Yeah, probably back.
He muted. Wait, hang on. He- Somehow your phone just got muted, George. Can you unmute your? Yep, there you go, George. You're on mute. No, okay. Let's see if this works. So, I mean, maybe getting a salt spreader because we have to do Jelke, Raceway, open space, barn, cellar.
I'm getting a big echo from you.
Huge echo.
Yeah, this sounds like an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, hey, George, unmute your cell phone. Oh,
I just hung up.
okay.
Good
Um,
idea.
Yeah,
I think we're hearing
so,
both of his.
so getting a salt spreader for the pickups, one of the pickup with the plow, I would assume, that would cover Jelke, the East barn, Raceway, salamanders.
Question though,
I don't know what that cost would be like to get a salt spreader.
well, the other problem is where do they get the salt? You can't load a pickup truck with the backhoe that Scott has.
Depends what kind you get. You get one that loads with a backhoe. You can get one that loads by bags. You can buy the
Yeah,
one
you could
bag.
load it with a skid steer too. That wouldn't be an issue.
We don't.
Okay.
Why don't you guys take this offline and come up with a proposal?
Yeah.
Great idea.
I just want open space to be whole
Yeah.
for the plowing and the time and everything like that. That's what
Yeah.
I'm concerned with.
Trustee Aherns,
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a call probably by Friday. I'm gonna look at some things and you and I can have with Highway Commissioner Sinnett, you can have a call. We can talk because, now we're talking vehicles and, I'll bring the two of you into something Bob and I find to see if it's adequate.
You know what? You need to include Kirby as well.
Oh, yeah,
because-
I'll include Kirby. That's not a problem.
Yeah, okay.
But, Kirby and I wouldn't know what type of equipment would be adequate for the trucks is what I'm saying.
Right. And then he's also going to have to take it off and on because he uses the trucks for other things. So
Right.
there's those issues are all there.
Right. Okay. All right. So with that, I am tabling the review, discuss, approve budget fiscal year 2021 until February. Old business, presentation and review of the slides.
Didn't you have excuse me, but didn't you have a motion on there on that physical budget 2021 too, and George and Sue made a motion and seconded the motion there?
Yeah, there was a first, Trustee Harney motion is the first motion, Trustee Johnson's the second, and I'm tabling it till next meeting.
Okay, fine.
Okay, are there any questions on the slides as were presented? That's the pie slides.
Very helpful.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Then please, let's move on to audit and approve the bills. Do we have any questions about the bills?
Well, we need a motion first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Could I get a motion? I need a first and a second.
Move to approve.
I have Trustee Harney. Do I have a second?
Second, Johnson.
I have Trustee Johnson. Do I have any questions about the bills as they have been presented? There were, unfortunately, my tablet died. Bob, can you please tell us the late additions?
Okay, we did have 7 additions. First 2 are ComEd bills for the cemetery. One is $28, that's for the flagpole. The other service is for the main building, $298.39. We had the annual dues for 2021 for the Association of Senior Citizen Services. That's for the GA group. That's $75. and forestry suppliers for open space. They purchased 3 shearing knives and 1 pair of leather gloves, $132.29. The assessor's office purchased from NJS Enterprises a new Dell PowerEdge computer server. That cost is $6,139.20. And then Pace submitted a bill for the riding cane program during November of 2020. That cost is $4,622.47. And then finally, Prairie Farms supplied the milk for tomorrow's food pantry, and that is $58.79. Total additions of $11,354.61.
Any questions on any of the bills?
I had one question in the main batch of bills.
Okay, Trustee Johnson?
I think it was on page 2. It was Cerrone Computer Consulting for 12,000.
Yes.
That's,
Page 1, I believe.
yeah, that's Mike's assessment program, the annual fee and upgrade fee for the Visual Pro program for the assessments.
Okay.
Any other questions? Trustee Johnson?
That was me asking the question.
I know. Do you have any other
No,
questions?
no
Yeah.
no further
All right,
questions.
hang on. I'm going to go in order. Trustee Schaffer?
Yeah, I sort of had the same question, but I was looking at some of the, because this is a contract that starts at the sort of mid-year. I mean, it's the end of the year before a new board that takes place. It only happens every 4 years, but can we try to get our yearly contract set up for like a June date? And I'm just throwing it out there as a what if.
Okay. Trustee Aherns?
No question.
Okay. Trustee Harney?
No questions.
Okay. With that, seeing that our hearing and seeing that there are no more discussion, I'm going to call a roll call. Trustee Aherns?
Yeah, aye.
Trustee Schaffer?
Aye.
You guys are moving on the screen, sorry. Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
And Trustee Harney?
Aye.
Supervisor Glees is an aye. That carries the budget. That carries that motion. I am now looking for a motion to approve budget transfers number 9, 10, and 11. And Bob, I'm going to need you to read each one of those because I have no access to them.
As soon as I find 9, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Okay, budget transfer number
Oh,
9.
wait, I'm sorry. I need a motion first. I
Move
need
to approve the budget transfers.
I have Trustee Harney. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have Trustee Johnson. Now, could you please read
Okay,
budget?
I'm sorry, who was the first?
Trustee Harney.
Thank you. Okay. Budget transfer number 9 is for the cemetery fund. The communication and telephone account is currently over by $22.10. We're asking to transfer $250 from the maintenance of grounds account to the communication and telephone account. Budget transfer 10 is also for the cemetery. Their line item for garbage disposal is over budget by $122. And we're asking for the permission to transfer $450 from the maintenance of grounds line item into the garbage disposal account. Budget transfer number 11, the township communication and telephone budget is over by $722.25. We're asking authority to transfer $2,000 that is left in the auditing and accounting expense line item into the communication and telephone account.
Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing no discussion, I would like to do a roll call for all three budget items, if that's all right with you all. With that, let's start with the roll call. We are approving the budget transfers number 9, 10, and 11. Trustee Harney,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Schaffer,
Aye.
Trustee Aherns,
Aye.
and Supervisor Glees is an aye. That is 5. All right, I am now looking for a motion to adjourn. I need a first and a second.
First is Johnson, as usual.
Do I have a second?
I'll go with the second.
I've got Trustee Harney. Do we have any discussion about this? Hearing and seeing no discussion, I will pull the final roll call for the evening. Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Harney,
Aye.
Trustee Schaffer,
Aye.
Trustee Aherns,
Aye.
and Supervisor Glees is an aye. That is 5. I am going to stop the recording. All right.